Hi, so this is a video to help you with homework 2, Mastermind. So here, as you can see, I have the spec open. Mastermind is a game where the computer generates a 4-character secret code, and your job is to implement the system so that the users can input guesses until they figure out what the secret code is. Now, if you look over here, here are 5 helper blocks that you need to implement and put together in order to help you with your project. And if you scroll down here, and if you download this template as I have, and if you import that into an empty snap file, you should be able to see when you come to variables that these blocks have been imported for you. However, if you open them, for example, or if you click on them, you'll see that nothing will appear, and that's because it's your job to build this block. And so if we come over to this snap file where I have already built the blocks, I'm going to walk through the helper blocks so you know what each one of them do. So generate code takes in a list of letters, and it generates a random 4-character code every single time from this list of letters. For example, if I click it once, it shows me VYOG. As you see, it's 4 characters, and VYOG are all letters from this list. Right? If I click it again, it's OBR, and again, it's all letters from this list. Correctly placed takes in the secret code, it takes in the guess, and it tells you how many letters of your guesses are in the correct place. So if I click it once, it tells me 1, and that's because over here in this secret code, there's a Y at the 4th position, and my guess also has a Y in the 4th position, so it reports that 1 letter is in the correct place. Now, out of place is very similar to correctly placed, except it tells you how many letters you have in your guesses that are contained in the secret code but are not in the right place. So over here, the secret code is RVGY, and over here, my guess is VROY. Both of them contain R and V. However, my guess has V and R in the wrong place. So if I click it, it should tell me 2. And it shouldn't count Y because Y should be counted as correctly placed. Now, out of place takes 2 blocks as a helper block. So it takes keep characters of blank not at the same place. So this one reports V and O because this one takes in a list, it takes in the second list, and it deletes from the first list the items that are correctly placed in the second list. So over here, R and R are correctly placed, G and G are correctly placed, and so it deletes R and it deletes G from the first list, and it reports just V and O. Occurrence of letter and list block takes in a letter, it takes in a list, and it tells you how many times that letters appear in the list. So if I click on it, it tells me 2 because O appears twice. All right, now I have implemented the homework code in this right over here. So I'm not going to show the code obviously, but I'm going to run through the game so you know how it works. So if I click the green flag over here, my spread tells me, welcome to Mastermind. What's my guess? Now, as you can see over here, I have 3 variables. I have history, which keeps track of my guess, and for each of my guess, the letters correctly placed and the letters out of place. I have num guesses, which tells me how many times I have made a guess. And then over here, I have this variable called secret code. Usually, the secret code variable should not be shown on the stage, but I'm going to show it here for demonstration purposes. And the secret code tells me what the computer generated on this term, which is G, Y, G, and R. So let's begin. Before we start with the valid guesses, let's try to see what happens if the user makes an invalid guess. For example, if the user's only guessed 3 letters, my spread tells me invalid. My guess contains too few letters, so I have to guess again. Now, what happens if I have 5 letters? It tells me again invalid. I've guessed too many letters. Now, what happens if I, for example, guess U? That's 4 letters. Alright, it tells me invalid because I've guessed letters besides for the ROYGBV that I want to use and generate code. Okay? And now, you notice here that num guesses hasn't changed at all, and that's because number of guesses should only keep track of the valid ones. Let's start with the valid guesses. So as a user, I would start out with the first letter, and I'll guess all 4 to see if R is in the list at all. And it tells me no, but 1 is correct, and 0 is out of place. So I know that one of these R's must be correct, but I don't know the secret code, so I don't know which of these R's are correct. So I'm going to go through them one by one and see if by changing anything, it will affect my result. So if I go on to the next letter for the first one, O, I guess O, R, R, R. It tells me 1 is correct, 0 is out of place. All right, so that tells me something. That tells me O is not in the secret code, and R is not in the first position. All right, so if I go on to the next letter, so if I pick Y, and then let me pick Y for the second one as well. Okay, this time it tells me 2 is correct and 0 is out of place. So that shows me that either the first letter or the second letter is a Y, and either the third or the fourth letter is a R. So let me try changing the first letter again to G instead, and keep the second letter at Y, and then change the third letter to Y, and keep the fourth letter at R. All right, this time it tells me 3 is correct and 0 is out of place. So if I pull up the guesses here, you should be able to see that GYYR has 3 correctly placed and 0 out of place. And if you come over here, GYGR, that tells me yes, G, Y, and R are in the correct place. All right, this time, let me try something to demonstrate out of place for you. So G, if I guess GYRG, for example, what should be the result? Okay, it tells me 2 is correct, 2 is out of place. So as you can see here, G and Y are in the correct place. G and R, well, my guess also contains R and G and R, but they're just reversed. All right, so that shows me that, okay, R and G are contained in the secret code, but they're out of place, and G and Y are in the correct place. Okay, so this time I make the final guess, G, Y, G, R. And it tells me, yes, that's correct. And I figure out the secret code in 6 guesses. And if you come over here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you see that it's indeed 6 guesses. So that's how the game works. Best of luck with homework 2, and please come to office hours and also labs if you need any more help.